Hello all, my name is Terrence Usher, and this is my capstone presentation for the future of the Pokemon series. So first, let's give a very brief overview on the history of Pokemon. The Pokemon series began with Pocket Monster Red and Pocket Monster Green on February 27th in the year 1996. These were originally Japanese exclusive games until after growing popularity, their games were sold in other countries like the US. After 29 games later, Pokemon's most recent addition to their main title series are Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, which came out November 15th of 2019. Now this can be seen as the initial cause for this topic. Sometime in 2019, before Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, Nintendo was streaming their Nintendo Treehouse series, where they showcased new and upcoming games. The game they were showing was Pokemon Sword and Shield. During the stream, one of the developers from Game Freak, the game developers that develop all main series Pokemon games, announced there wasn't going to be a national dex for Sword and Shield. Now, for those of you that don't know what a national dex is, let me give you a brief description of what it is. So, Pokédex is an encyclopedia of all Pokemon. There are two types, the regional dex and the national dex. Regional dex only has the Pokemon that can be caught in that game. The national dex, on the other hand, contains all Pokemon outside of the current game you are playing. This allows players to use Pokemon from other games or regions to their current game, and Game Freak was taking that away. This upset fans so much so that the hashtag #BringBackNationalDex was created and was trending for the later part of 2019. And it's actually still going on to this day. Definitely not as strong as before, but it's still there. In response to in response to this dissatisfaction from the fan base, Junichi Masuda, the producer of Game Freak, said in an interview that the National Dex was cut to give the development team more time for higher quality animations, only to have fans quickly poke holes into his story, showing evidence that much of Sword and Shield's animations were taken from previous games. Now the fanbase felt not only like they had lost the national dex, but also had been lied to excuse the loss. And the fact that because Sword and Shield were not Nintendo Switch games and not DS, their price went from $40 to $60. For a game with less Pokemon than the prior one, it's obvious that Sword and Shield are Pokemon's most controversial games to date. Now the big question, why is this year so important? Well, you see, this year makes Pokemon's 25th anniversary, specifically the date February 27, 2021. So far, Pokemon has announced two new games which I will cover in a moment, a few events such as a digital concert with Post Malone, and events in Sword and Shield as well as Pokemon Go. Partnerships were also announced and shown such as those with singers Post Malone and Katy Perry, and even businesses like McDonald's and some cereal brands, as you can see here on my slide. So in regards to what we can expect for this year's anniversary, let's take a quick look at Pokemon's 20th anniversary 5 years ago. During that year, Pokemon re-released Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, not to be confused for Pocket Monster Red. These games were originally made for the Game Boy. With this re-release, the games were available to be played on the Nintendo 3DS. Pokemon Sun and Moon were also announced and released that year. Sun and Moon were new additions to the Pokemon series. So, in a quick summary, we have Pokemon bringing back some old games on a newer game console and a new game entirely for the series. So back to what I had mentioned before, the two new games announced by Pokemon earlier this year. The first games that were announced were Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl. These are games that are remakes of previous Pokemon games, Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl. In regards to a release date, all that has been stated so far is that it will be released in late 2021. A few very notable mentions about what was announced and released about this game is that it is not being developed by Game Freak for once, but rather another developer by the name of Ilka Inc. They have not developed a Pokemon game prior to this, so we have something to look forward to. Another notable mention is the new art style. It's much more chibi-esque than it has ever been before. Lastly, it was stated multiple times that this is, and I quote, a faithful reproduction which many are taking to mean that there won't be any changes to the game besides the art style and it being on the Nintendo Switch instead of the Nintendo DS. Now for the curveball. The second game Pokemon announced was Pokemon Legends Arceus. The basic premise is that this story is set in the same region as Diamond and Pearl, except much farther into the past. Now, there are many new things here with just the title alone, let alone the genre and gameplay. For starters, the genre of this game is action RPG instead of the turn-based RPG that Pokemon has been known for. The player is shown to be able to traverse the world similar to that of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Secondly, the title, there has never been a game called Pokemon Legends before, and having Arceus added to the title implies that there is a possibility for more games like this, creating a new series. This announcement video for the game also shows a bit of the new art style this game will have, a Japanese ink brush style which we've never seen before. Lastly, this can be due to the game being still in very early stages, but I and many other viewers noticed that the animations for the Pokemon shown in the video were laggy and of poor quality, all of which can easily be improved by the announced release date of early 2022. Now I'll play devil's advocate and for those that argue that this year won't make for a difference for Pokemon and that pleasing the fans isn't important to them since either way they'll make money. For example, even though many boycotted Pokemon Sword and Shield, over 20.35 million copies have been sold as of February 1st of this year, making it the third most selling Pokemon game and the fifth most sold Nintendo Switch game right behind Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And finally, we come to our conclusion and our final thoughts for the topic. As much as I hate to say it, Pokemon as a video game series will always make a profit. The core loop for the game of gotta catch 'em all, even if it's a smaller setting, will always attract people to it. They are essentially too big to fail now. However, I do believe that if Pokemon keeps going against what most of the fan base is asking for, they are going to start losing players. And right now, for a lot of people, Pokemon's on thin ice after Sword and Shield. Thank you for your time, and this was Terrence Usher.